In this video, we'll demonstrate how Zscaler and CrowdStrike leverage XDR, extended detection and response technology, to stop cyber threats faster and more effectively. We share telemetries and threat intelligence, which enhances visibility and detection capabilities. Once a threat is identified, we can respond by automatic cross-platform workflow through CrowdStrike Falcon Fusion and Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange. An administrator first configures a restricted group with your existing identity provider solution. Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange will synchronize this group definition to ZIA. A ZIA administrator can pre-configure a restrictive policy associated with this user group to limit access to selected applications for users belonging to this group. When a threat is detected by the Falcon Insight XDR platform, Fusion Workflow triggers an API request to add the associated user to the restrictive group. The change of membership triggers a related policy to be applied to the user. The restrictive policy can be browser isolation, which allows access to an application but prevents the user from downloading or uploading data, or denies access to selected applications, or quarantines the user altogether. Now, let's see how to configure this integration. First, we need to configure the Zscaler XDR app to connect to ZIA using the SCIM protocol. At CrowdStrike Store, locate the Zscaler app and click Configure. Then, Accept and Continue. At the configuration screen, enter the name of the configuration. Then we need to enter the SCIM base URL and bearer token that will be used for SCIM API calls. To do this, we go to the ZIA console, click on Administration, then Authentication Settings, then Identity Provider. Here we already have an IDP configured for user provisioning using SCIM. We will provide these SCIM details to the Zscaler XDR app. Click Edit. Under the Provisioning Options section, we copy and paste the base URL and bearer token into our configuration screen. Under User Group, enter an existing ZIA user group to which users will be added by XDR response workflow from CrowdStrike. Finally, enter the names of the response actions in the Set XDR Response Actions for ZIA section. The actions in the display name fields will show up as drop-down response options in the CrowdStrike portal when an XDR detection is triggered. Here we have two options: Add to Restricted User Group and Remove from Restricted User Group. Click Save Configuration when done. Now let's look at our policy in action. Prior to XDR taking any actions, a user is able to go to Dropbox.com and upload a sensitive file. From the telemetry that CrowdStrike collects from each machine, as well as telemetry from partner integrations, CrowdStrike XDR detects a threat on this machine. An administrator can go to Endpoint Security, XDR Detection to review the detection. Click the drop-down and select View Details. It shows the offending endpoint machine and the associated user, L. Lovegood, at morialabs.com. We can then select the associated username and a response action. The two response actions we have previously configured are shown. Click Add to Restricted User Group. This will trigger an API request to Zscaler to add the user to the restrictive group, and the corresponding access policy will be automatically applied. Alternatively, if the administrator clicks on Graph to trace the chain of activities by the user, response action can also be applied from this screen. At the Zscaler ZIA console, we see that user L. Lovegood originally belonged to the domain user group only. After a screen refresh, we see that he's now been added to the restricted group. Now, if this user tries to access Dropbox, he will no longer be able to. Together, Zscaler and CrowdStrike help you to accelerate threat detection and response and make it easier for you to implement your Zero Trust strategy.